Does anybody remember what SLS became, the distribution? This is how old I am.
Oh my god.
SLS became a distribution called Slackware. Anyway, so it was my first distribution way back in the day. Instead of old, I've spoken at several different venues, Hope, DEFCON, blah. Wrote some books for Seamgrass, mostly on VoIP. C programmer, I love programming. I work on a piece of software called Sagan, which is a log analysis engine that I've been working on since about 2009 or so. So if you have a chance, if you go to Google, you know, Sagan log analysis, like as in Carl Sagan, you'll find it. It's an open source project, GPL version 2. So feel free to play with it, contribute, do whatever. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Real quick introduction about how I got started with Linux. Just real quick, I won't waste most of your time. I had a friend of mine, he had one of these, and if you guys remember, this is a thing called Amiga 2000. We could do these, it was based off of a Motorola 68K chipset. We could do multitasking, had no memory management, so it crashed a lot. But he could do things like play video games and download things at the same time. X mode and Z mode in the background and play games. And I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And unfortunately, I had one of these, and this was a 386 40. Crap, and didn't have any really good means of multitasking. There were some little hooky things.
It's got a turbo button.
What's that?
It's got a turbo button.
It does have a turbo button. Which you never unturned.
Right.
So I started going out and looking for different operating systems that would give me the ability, with my crappy hardware, to do what he was doing with his $1,500, $2,000 computer. I saw a post by this guy, and I'm sure you guys might know who he is, and he was posted on Usenet, basically saying he was starting out this new operating system called Linux. And by then I was pretty hooked on it because I could actually do things like download and Z modem, and in one terminal, and then in the other terminal do something else. Around the same time, I had also got involved with radio. This is something my grandmother actually got me involved with. Her radio was a little different than what we have today. This is a crystal set radio, Bearcat crystal set radio. So we would sit in our living room, and she knew all the tin codes, or signals and whatnot. So whenever she would, we would listen to the police or whatnot, she would translate for me. And we would listen to the fire and the police department and things like that. And to use these sort of things, just back in the day, you had to buy one of these. It was a crystal, and you plugged it into the radio. Okay? So this was early 80s. Since then, I've always kind of been into radios. I'm not a ham. How many hams are in here tonight? Yeah, that kind of thing. You guys probably know more about this topic than I do. But I've always been interested in radio. I've never just gotten my ticket. So maybe I will one day. But it's just, so I have various different types of radios. Typically the type of stuff that I play with, scanners and stuff like that. And you know, yay for me, it's what does this have to do with Linux, radios? So one thing to be very clear on, I'm barely even new at this. This is actually SDR, software-defined radio, is something that I've even recently started playing with. But because I have a love of radios and tinkering around with it in Linux, it seemed like a fun thing to kind of put together. So I was at this conference called DEFCON, and that guy sitting next to me there, Lieutenant J. Falcon, he's a really awesome radio guy. He's actually just a really awesome guy all the way around. We would talk about radio sometimes, and these old packet switching networks, like X25, all kinds of fun stuff, just really, really smart. And I'm also a member of this group called Telefreak, that were a VoIP or a phone hobbyist kind of group. And he's one of the members. We've known each other for a long time. So he sends me this device one day, and it shows up in my mail. And he had told me about it. He said, you can get these things, they're TV tuners, but technically they're SDRs. People buy them, they're very cheap, to plug into USB ports so that they can watch TV on their computers. And I said, well, that's great and all. I don't have time for this, man. I'm glad you mailed it to me. Where can I send it back? And he said, well, it's $20. You just keep it, and then one day, hopefully, you can play with that. And at the time, I just had a daughter, and doing things like this. Like, so for instance, I've been doing this and Bitcoin mining. Like, that's going to do anything. But learning how it works is what the whole point. No, I'm not going to make any money out of it. But I had Bitcoin miners that people had given me, so I was like, oh, didn't want to play with it because I had a little time now. So I found this in my desk drawer and I thought to myself, you know, Jay Falcon said this would be a lot of fun. And they said it's a RTL SDR. It's based off a Realtek chipset. And so basically, as I understand it, this is how it came to be. So you would buy these little dongles, these USB dongles, that you could plug into your computer to receive TV signals, right? As I understand it, the devices can go through various frequency ranges. The idea is I have one piece of hardware that can be used in several different locations, say here in the United States as a TV tuner, but in Japan as well, or wherever. The software actually does the tuning of the radio. So the idea is that I don't have to have 5 different radios, that's hardware manufactured to set frequencies or whatnot, but that I can, that the organization or company can take this one dongle and then use it across different environments, different countries. So people were buying these and they were basically using them for TV, but then people started figuring out, well, wait a minute, if you can tune into various different frequencies through software, this sounds a lot like a software-defined radio. At the time, these things were pretty expensive, but these gentlemen and groups sat around and figured out, hey, well, wait a minute, rather than doing that, we can actually tune these to frequencies that are well outside of the range of just for TV. You can use these for a lot of different things. And as you can see, when you go out on a place like on eBay or something like that, or Amazon in this case, these things are dirt cheap. So if Mr. Reason, whatever he gave me mine, you know, he's like 20 bucks, and not 20 bucks, I'll eventually, you know, play with it or not. So this was like from a couple of days ago. And they typically range on these particular types of $20 models, 24 megahertz to about 1800 megahertz. That's not doing any kind of conversion, up converters, or anything like that. And those are usually around $20. So I started out with one that was in my drawer that Jay Falcon gave to me. Now I have like 7. Because that's what you do. You get obsessed with this stuff. There are some other ones that you can buy. Those are in like $300, $400 range, where you can get like Hack RF. Those do 1 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz. They're really nice equipment. But I'm right now still in the $20 range. But as a friend of mine told me, he's like, you've had the taste of the crack. Now you'll want more. You'll be buying more radio. So one of the first questions. So imagine I'm at in my garage. I have like a little workbench. I pull this thing out. I have no idea what I can do with it. So I pull it out and say, cool, I can plug it into my computer. Still don't know what to really do with it. So I started looking into, well, what are some of the things that you can do? You can listen to unencrypted police, usually Project 25. Now in here it's encrypted. It used to be just standard trunking several years ago. But you can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. So for instance, tracking, I was talking to somebody earlier, tracking positions, ADS-B. Decoding. So the transponders, they record where they're at, you can receive those signals, and then plot them on things like Google Earth and stuff like that. You can track boats. I have a boat that I can go on. It's actually track these really large container ships and whatnot and see where they are off the ocean. Really kind of cool stuff. You'll notice I kind of said decoding hot, sag, and flex traffic is highlighted there, because that's one of the easier things to really do. But there's actually a lot of more stuff that you can do with it. You can sniff GSM signals. I saw a really good thing in Berlin a long time ago about this, which we can cover on the side. GPS, NOAA satellite images. People go out and they have a set of nice antennas in their backyard, and then as the satellites are beaming back satellite images, they decode them. There's software that'll help you do that. There's lots of different things to do. Decoding mobile taxi, all kinds of things. And there's still more versus the protocols, all kinds of fun stuff. Now, as I said, my setup is pretty simple. This is actually a fairly new topic to me. So the thing is, you don't really need completely insanely fast pieces of hardware. Actually, I do mine on a Raspberry Pi. This particular case, this is my complete setup right now. You'll notice there's 2 of them. So I like to use One for going through and finding signals, and then the other one for actually attempting to decode the signals that I might find. So while I have one on one, like they might be actually on both frequency, but I can watch and kind of use one from a visual aspect to watch. These are running Raspberry with a Pixel GUI. On this type of setup, especially a powered USB would probably be a good idea. They don't pull a lot of current, probably around like 250 milliamps or so. But by the same token, I noticed it kind of overdrove the high. And especially if you want to, like my original plan was to have like 4, but step back from that. So I use one for scanning and one for decoding. Oops. And usually whenever you plug it in, you can run a command called ls-usb, which will tell you all the things that you have on your USB ports or plugged in or whatnot on that bus. So what we have here in the red is what you should see. You'll see the Realtek and you'll see the RTL8238DVB-T. That is, I have 2 of them, that's why you see 2 of them there. In my case, what you'll see is are those. The chipsets can range, but I'll get more into that. The one thing that the kernel will do, as soon as you plug it in, it'll say, hey, it's a TV tuner. Let's load the module so this guy can watch TV. You don't want to do that, because actually, I don't really care about watching TV. It's the least of anything. So, one of the first things, regardless of your distribution, is to immediately blacklist all the kernel level modules, because these aren't going to do you any good. Actually, they get in the way, because when you try to load your software, the module, you want the software to be able to communicate directly with the RTL SDR. These modules kind of get in the way of it. So typically, I'll just blacklist all of them, and I don't really even know exactly what dongle I'm going to be plugging into Box, just blacklist them all. This is what I typically do. Typically, you'll have a file in your etc modprobe.d directory, like blacklist.com or something like that. You just basically drop these in. And when you drop them in, if you reboot, it'll tell the system, hey, I found this device. Do not load those particular modules. And after you do that, you do an ls mod. You should not see any of these in there. So once you have those loaded, you'll need to get into some basic utilities. So I'm going to kind of show just a few utilities, and then we'll pull them together. So as I said, these utilities will directly interact with the RTL SDR. There's no modules needed. The software does the tuning for it. The first one is probably the most basic, and that's RTL SDR. From the guys who kind of figured out this whole thing in the first place. And what it does, it's a command line version where it's a command line driven piece of software that you can tell to tune into certain frequencies. If you want to do wideband FM or narrowband, and tell it different types of things, all from the command line, which can be really useful. So to install it right off is your kind of typical build. You build, this is of course on a dedicated type of system. You have your build essentials, stuff like that. You get clone it, build it, make it install. Your typical type of install. But what you end up with is this typical, actually several commands, but one of them is a command called RTL-FM. And it does exactly probably what you think it would do. So when you fire this up, the 89.9 is NPR, so 89.9 megahertz at a sample rate of 20K and a resample rate of 48K. And then what we're doing here is we're piping it through a utility called A-Play so we can listen to it through our speakers. So what we have done, essentially, is taking your $1,000 laptop and turned it into a glorified radio that can play, NPR. All right. Anyway, but that's only one sort of thing that you can do. And as I said, I want to kind of tie a couple of things together. So you can hear NPR, yay, that's sort of cool. But again, just keep that in mind that you can, from a command line have that tuner stuff. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is this thing called multimod NG. So it is a decoder. So it's just another tuner. It actually can take various types of input, mostly from like files and standard in and stuff like that. It doesn't work with radios. It actually doesn't communicate with the RTL SDR at all. He just takes data in, what it believes to be audio, and then converts it back to digital format. So signals can be from an audio file or audio input. I have a friend of mine that uses this software. He uses like a really nice, back then it was really nice, ICOM radio, the discriminator tab, went to his PC, and he ran this software and some other software to do decoding of different signals. And so it comes by default, has several different decoders. Remember at the very beginning, I pointed out that we were going to do some POC/SAG and flex decoder. Does anybody know what those are?
No.
No? No. Awesome. I thought you guys would all know this. Okay. So, since you guys, can you guys guess what this is?
Oh, an old pager.
An old pager, right.
Nice.
So, the protocols that these guys use is a protocol called POC/SAG and flex. So 512 is the rate, so 1200 baud, 2400 baud, 512. I'm actually not sure what the flex is. So I have this thing, it's in my drawer, and I pull it out, I plug it in, so I start going through a list of things. What can I do with this thing? And I have people who are like, oh, you can decode NOAA transmissions. That sounds pretty cool. What do I need? Well, you need a decent antenna in your backyard, and that's not going to work. Move on to the next one. Oh, air lines. That'd be cool. We got that. Again, probably need an antenna for. Basically, I need to get an antenna for that. But the one thing that dawned on me is pagers. They work almost anywhere because that's kind of how they're designed. So no matter if you're in a building like this one or you're in a movie theater, they transmit at a really high power, so that signal can make it to the pager. I should point out as well, and actually my friend Patrick here has one of these, is that group Telecreek that I was telling you about, a bunch of the guys who are in Telecreek are hams, and so every year at DEF CON we set up a transmitter, and we build our own paging network, and then we hand these watches out. And so we put on this party on Sunday night after DEF CON's over, and the difference between the party that happens at Telecreek and other parties is that we don't have strippers. It's not loud music. It's like the end of the road. It's like you're getting done with the conference. I'd actually like to talk to some people at a party for a little while and not be noise blaring at me, so it's really quiet. But what we did is Jay Dawkins sets up a transmitter. We hand these out. I have like a 70-mile range on this thing. I'm only broadcasting, I think, 10 watts. Right? It's not very much at all. Maybe I have to actually go. But the idea is that whenever we don't disclose where the party is going to be, so then at some point in time we can page everybody and tell them where they're at. We can also tell them other events as well. So the idea is, in that case, we're actually building transmitters, and they are. I haven't built crap. I'm just new. But they're building these transmitters, and these watches essentially work the same as this guy. They just happen to be a watch. And then we broadcast out to the DEF CON. As I said, multi-mon is kind of the decoder for all of this type of stuff. So what we do is we want to build it. And this is your typical kind of build. If you go to GitHub and search for multi-mon, you'll find it pretty easy. So what you can do after you build it is, I remember, so I said, multi-mon takes signals and decodes them. RTL FM tunes into the radio and gets the audio from it, right? So what we can do is tie these things together. And this is like pretty easy. So I have an RTL right here. You'll see this little antenna and whatnot. Actually works pretty well for a little project like this. So that was one of the reasons that I said this would be a really easy first project to do. So basically what we're going to use is RTL SDR tools to feed into multi-mon decoding, rather than tuning into like an regular FM radio station. So the way that we end up doing that is we run a RTL FM, we give it a sample rate of 22,050 hertz, and then you'll see right here 929.6625. That is my target pager frequency at this point. The dash at the very end here, right here, tells it we don't want to dump to a file or any sort of thing. We just want to dump the standard out. And we take that pipe symbol to the multimon, tell that we're reading in raw data, and then the dash A shows us what decoders we're enabling. So that like we got the signal in, now these are the signals that we want to decode. And hopefully, to start it up, it'll look something like this. It looks like a bunch of just gibberish. But this whole part at the very top is just basically multimon starting up. So you have the tuner tuned in. Actually, this part's from the tuner right here. But what it is, and these are your decoders. But that's all from the start. This bottom part is not. You have your enabled demodulators, so what you're going to be decoding, and then of course like your devices that are down. As I said, I'm running dual. In my case, I'll have one maybe running RTL FM running on one Realtek device or SDR, and then the other one in a GUI. So if you're lucky and your frequency is right from what you think, you're 929 megahertz, you should see something like this. This is kind of your pager. This is actually it doing the decoding. What we have, so you'll start seeing this data going back. The big question, actually I remember talking in the office, I was telling a friend of mine, hey, I'm going to do this thing, it's kind of fun, I'm just going to decode pager traffic in this computer. Well, nobody uses pagers, so you probably won't really get it very much out of it. And so I said, well, we'll see. So this is the cap code. So technically, pagers, whenever you have them on your person, they receive all the pages. They only display what is in your cap code. So, for instance, so your pager will receive, you've got two guys standing to each other, and they're operating on the same frequency and whatnot. It blasts out all these pages, but your cap code is what tells you this is Bob's pager, this is him, and this is Mary. So if you're scanning, and obviously you don't care about the cap code, you're just capturing everything, you get to see everything going. So, again, one of the guys who I was talking with in our office, he said, so what, who uses pagers? And actually, in a way, I kind of had to agree with him. And I had a friend of mine who did a talk at DEFCON on this very subject. His setup was a lot more complicated at the time, but and he found all kinds of cool stuff. But that was like DEFCON 17, like forever ago. So I've been running this for a few months now. So this is the kind of stuff that you'll usually end up getting. This is from a Trump protest, and then paging while keep your channels clear. Of course, you have some shots fired, and their pursuit. So that's kind of interesting stuff. I like this one was one of my favorites. You have, this was from Las Vegas, so it's probably somebody who's subscribing to the service and then they're having it sent to their pager, would be my guess. But at the airport, we have an F-35 with landing gear issues at runway 21R. And we need probably fire departments will have to be there. So kind of fun. I was like, wow, this should be pretty cool. So what you
captured this locally?
This is all local, okay. Yes. So and you'll see. Well, actually, I'll do that. But in this particular case, this is probably a service that this particular person is subscribing to get those pages over here. I can probably go into that here more. But anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. So going through, and basically what I did is you run it for a while, and you'll notice I've X'd out a lot of the stuff, like I try to be a complete jerk. What you'll find is I would just set up, I would set up the rig, both of them, on two different separate frequencies, capturing flex and POXAG pages, and storing them to a file, and then you just get home and you like grep, and you start going through them. So I grab cuss words and see like people are like, and then just grepping different types of things. So like shots fired, hey look, hits. So you kind of just got to go back and data mine. So in this particular case, this person looks like they have their emails being forwarded, probably the subject and headers. Any guess what LANL stands for? LANL.gov, right? So that's Los Alamos National Laboratory. So I mean, what's interesting is people I think have gotten used to they just think this page system is like so antiquated, they don't even think about any kind of security mechanisms on top of it because there are none. Technically, there are, you actually can buy encrypted pages, but I'm sure companies like encrypted, nobody switched this crap anymore, all this so kind of going to other government stuff. I was seeing like a lot of this. This is another person who gave their email sent lots and lots of India Gov stuff. Are you guys familiar with them? They're another one who's national security is our business. We apply science to help protect, repel, defeat, and mitigate threats. And then they probably do. I'm sure. If you look at it, you'll see DSNALDRD. So then you can start poking around. You can say, well, what's DSAS? Probably, I mean, this is off their website. Defense Systems Assessments, and what's LDRD? Laboratory Directed Research. So what I'm saying is, you can actually remember that this number. Anyways, this number right here, the cap code that you're not supposed to see. But anyways, on the cap code, if you see an interesting conversation or something happening, you can actually go back and say, oh, this cap code looks like it might be law enforcement related. Grep his cap code, and you pull all of his pages. So you do that. I mean, you can go through. So access codes are a thing that I always like to look for. So you have people with daily operations call this conference number. Here's the access code. I heard, excuse me, a friend of mine had heard. There was a guy who did the DEF CON talk. He called me one day and said, "Hey, call this 800 number and enter this code." And I was like, why would I do that? Then did that, and it was AT&T, and they were troubleshooting a major outage that they were having in New Jersey. He knew I was a phone guy. And basically, it was like, let's just get on and listen to how they debug this, you know. And I said, how did you get this? He said, how do you think they did? They were paging each other. As you can see, Melinda's Citrix password expired. You probably, if you were on the 2600 crew, you probably figure out ways to use Melinda's phone number and the fact that her password is expired to, have her do what you want. And various different phone bridges. There's like a ton of this kind of stuff. People page this type of stuff all the time. So that's like a little bit of just like the mining side of things. Of course, you do see an insane amount of medical data. You wouldn't believe that there are actually things that say do not transmit certain type of information. In the data world, we all know HIPAA and high-tech, right? Well, and the pager network, not so much. These, obviously, I changed the names. I feel bad for John. I mean, you will find things in here, and it's just like mind-blowing. Like, what their diagnosis is, who their doctor is, when their institution is, of information in there. And while it's kind of fun to laugh at, the other side of it, we do a lot of work with a lot of different hospitals. So we actually started going back to it saying, who are the hospitals in our area that are doing it? I can confidently say, almost all the hospitals that we do work with don't do this shit. But you do see a lot. And keep in mind, so to kind of go back, you'll see local traffic, but you also get things on a state level as well, depending on the type of traffic. A lot of these are actually probably coming in from, as far as I can tell, SeaWorld. So they'll have alarm systems on tanks, and basically pages them whenever they get an alarm that says the water's too low on such and such, or whatnot. Now the question is, well, why the hell am I getting this? Well, it's been a long time, but if I remember correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be back in the day whenever you get a pager, that was an option that you could have. If you're going to stay in your city, you could say, I want a local region pager. It might cover several different counties and stuff like that. But you can also sign up for a statewide pager system, so that you can be in Miami well outside of your normal zone and still receive pages. So hence the reason you'll see pages sometimes that you're like, oh, this has nothing to do with Jacksonville, but yet I'm still seeing it. As far as they contribute to, it's because they're on nationwide pager systems. So, you'll find lots of things like that. I've seen things where I'll say there's one service called Go something. Anyway, so they tell you like when you left your doors open. Oh, you left your garage door open. Perfect. I'm just telling everybody. So, the big thing that comes up next is how do you find the frequencies and things that you want. Now, for our area, and actually this is in general all the United States, I know that the frequencies are typically around, because you can find this on Radio Reference, which is a great guide. If you ever want to find anything radio, find out other people have done. Radio Reference is a good resource. But you can go there, but you can look up like what are common pager frequencies in this case, because that's my target, right? In this particular case. You look it up, you'll find out it's about 929 megahertz. Now, I'm keeping it all Linux. I know some of the other guys might use like SDR Sharp, or Sharp, yeah, Sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp SDR?
Sharp.
SDR Sharp. Yeah, I've never used that one before. I'm sure it's awesome, but I said I'm keeping it Linux, and also I'm running it on the Raspberry Pi. So what it allows you to do is tune in, and it works just the same. You can create what they call waterfalls. This is the waterfall. And then you can see within a range. So if this is my target right here in the middle where the line is, then I can see what's broadcasting around this particular range. So this might be data. So even though I'm tuned in at a particular range, I can kind of see what's around it, so to speak. So, and I should point out too, on their website. So GQRX is open source project in GQ2 that's based off of GNU Radio. But what's great about it, you can go out, download the source code, build it, do all that fun stuff. They also have packages. So really from the Raspberry Pi standpoint, it was really essential to download a package and install it. It comes with GNU Radio. Actually comes with the RTL-FM stuff that you already have. And, it all comes installed. So basically you load it and you're good to go. So, let's see what we can do. See how much trouble that. Now, what I'm thinking I should probably do first is plug it in. So, what we're going to do here, we're going to see how well this works. I don't believe in live demos. This is actually the first one.
Your first live demo?
Yeah, I don't do live demos. I'm not an idiot. So let's see here. I don't think it'll allow you won't be able to hear so much. Oh, wait. I gotta right. That's a little bit.
So let's pick on one and see what we get.
So if we do, yay, okay. So there's our waterfall mark, and this is like looks like some sort of data there. So then you can kind of tune up and tune down. You want to go up a frequency. You'll see it shifts it over. So that was probably up there. That's probably some data. I wish you could hear it, but that's okay. So typically you can click on it. Oh, there it is. Where's the small filter? Let's see what we call that. That doesn't. That's all.
So there's a local radio station?
Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Just for fun. So let's go to like here. Now you gotta change, there's a radio station right here, but you'll see that I'm on a narrowband FM. So that's this
Wideband.
stereo wideband. And you can't hear it. But assure me it is playing. So you can listen, that's kind of the radio. But you saw I had to switch the band because it's frequency modulation. But if we get up, what I wanted to do, maybe it's work. But it's cool. They also make software too that will turn your SDR to a scanner, to an icon, or the ones that I've seen. Basically, it'll jump through frequencies and then try to determine if it's broadcasting. So remember like those handheld scanners that I have, you can basically do essentially kind of the same thing. So let's go back to 929. Let me see if we can actually do something. Okay. So what we'll do, look at that's probably, we'll say 928, 415, right? Everybody remember that, because I will forget. 928, 415, right? So, 928, 415. See what happens. 928, 415, right?
Yes.
Yes. We'll see. Then I'll move this window over here in just a second. Now, it might take a second, and I might be on a crappy
building is pretty concrete.
It is, but actually I mean, if you look at GQRX, the signals weren't weak. Let's do one.
Attenuate that's low enough frequency you should travel.
Oh. I don't know if this is working.
Not the right. 928?
72966.
Yeah, I went to a different one that I've found before, but I found it out at the beach, so it might not really be relevant here. But I mean, for the most part, I think you kind of get the idea of what we're doing. Now on my other setup, of course, I have the SDR2 of them. So it kind of makes things a little bit. Oops. Have you guys ever done any of this stuff? SDR? I'd be interested to hear what other cool projects. That looks pretty weak. Oh, that might be good. 615. No, they might be right. We'll try it. Might be too weak. This is why I was making videos. What you do with, you can find them all over there. Anyways, so that's pretty much the rundown. I'll just kind of leave this up. Hopefully, maybe you can pick up something maybe a wall. I didn't know. I should have guessed what we'd be in a bunker.
Largo
Medical Center, healthcare.
So call Largo Medical Center. I'm going to stop it before you start seeing penis injuries.
Surgical trauma ICU 5121.
Right, and the thing too is, they said doctors still use it. A lot of pagers, like I have a couple of who are, they still use them because they do go places that cell phone won't get signals as well. But you see, like the room is ready and stuff like that. And there's multiple frequencies, so again, you can set up multiple SDRs to do this. What projects have you guys worked on that you think are really cool that I should probably tackle next?
So there was actually one that was kind of fun with DMR radio. I don't think you play around with it.
Nope, not at all. That's what I'm after.
So it's for like ham radio people, but it uses the neutral mode.
Okay.
It's digitally modulated. It's actually kind of cool.
Is it FSK kind of like old school packet kind of stuff?
Very similar. It was actually DMR. You can actually find it. It was originally set up by Motorola.
Oh, okay.
You can get a unique code for your device. You program the device code for your device, and then you can now hook onto their digital networks.
Very cool.
And it's very cool because you can actually do things like send text messages back and forth to each other, or do peer-to-peer communication, which they don't really like doing that over repeaters, but you can. Right. Or you can actually broadcast it. Because it has two different talk frequencies. Talk groups is what they're called. But you got two, and then there's color codes in those that you can assign to.
Oh, so it's like a trunking system.
Yeah, so you can actually do that. We actually had a good group of guys in this city that have literally covered the entire city with 3 repeaters.
Oh, very cool.
On top of the stadium.
Yeah, they're very good repeaters. But yeah, they've got those set up. Now, what's interesting is the TYT is a really cheap little handheld radio that came from China.
Okay.
Travis Goodspeed actually managed to reverse engineer the firmware for it and figured out how the code signing works. And reverse the firmware and release the public.
Very nice.
So we've actually seen some really interesting hacks coming from that, including like you were just mentioning with the pagers, how you have those call IDs. It's kind of the same way with the radio. The radio gets it, and
it's the
not
idea
for you, it drops it.
the trunk group that it's in. Like, I was thinking like how what I have played with truck radio systems. Yeah, you have like.
Yeah, so he actually introduced promiscuous sniffing.
Nice. Oh, so you don't care about that.
Yeah, so you can actually have your radio just pick up on everything, including on peer-to-peer communication.
Right. You supposedly can do, that they require 2 SDRs. I've read about people who are doing trunk radio interception, like what I do with my handhelds all the time, but they say it requires 2 SDRs. And
It's the handheld unit.
Okay.
They're putting the hat straight on the handheld.
Okay. I've also seen one where it was a little toy that came out, and I don't remember. Oh yeah, it had to be modified a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and it would take down. Yes, it would take down P25 networks, which are currently used by law
Somebody
enforcement.
also hacked that thing so that way they could open up a garage door. Who was that?
Yeah.
There's I am Calvin.
There's so many smart people. Anybody else?
It should be.
You get much trouble with spurious?
What's that?
Spurious display if you're showing the spread spectrum. You get signals that are coming from your computer.
Oh, you know what? Those. Yeah, I end up like. Sometimes I just all hunt those because you'll have like that line in the side, and you'll go to it, and they'll go blah 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 blah. You're like, what is that? I mean, exactly. It's some sort of interference. The piece of advice that I've heard people say is that whenever you use SDRs, don't plug them directly into your computer. Like actually use the USB hub that you can move it away, because you want to try to get away from any interference if you can away from your computer. But you still obviously pick up interference. It's fun stuff. And $20. Yeah.
I got a couple of questions.
Sure.
So could you theoretically hook as many as you wanted to the hub?
Theoretically, until you max out the power on the hub. And yeah, I mean.
And there's also a bandwidth issue with your
Well, no, that's true too. But usually I'm sampling 22 kilohertz, or 20 kilohertz there now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you should have a pretty good spectrum. You should be able to, I mean, to saturate that hub, even USB 1 would be pretty good. But yeah, you should be able to chain them. I've noticed with the 2 on the Raspberry Pi, obviously, the little Pi starts getting, even with, actually it's more the CPU, because I'm using GQRX and decoding and doing other things. It gets warm. So if you'd like to use like a real PC, yeah, you can probably do quite a bit. I mean, your sample rates don't have to be high, especially for this. I don't know about other stuff. If you're doing like satellite stuff,
If you're doing anything with like a really light and
or really hot.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. Oh, yes.
What Raspberry Pi are you using?
What's that?
Or what Raspberry Pi are you using?
Raspberry Pi 3.
Okay.
The latest, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because NanoPi is really good. They also have the hardware encoded X65.
Well, you know what you could probably,
It's only $20.
you know what you could probably do, and that's actually a really cool idea that Kevin is looking me up to. You seen like the Pi Zeros?
Yeah.
Imagine it's like $5. Again, like a room full of them. And then see, also the cool thing with RTL.
$25 per radio.
Right. So RTL, exactly. RTL SDR, the software package, comes with a mode that you can make it so that you can tune in on a port, and then it broadcasts over a TCP port. So you set your radio like SDR sharp or sharp SDR, and you tell it, I want to use a TCP port and connect to the radio. You see what I mean? So yeah, you can use like a bunch of $5 Raspberry Pi Zeros and put like Army. And then it's like connect up beside scanning and all.
Put Pi Zeros like Starbucks or you can go to Wi-Fi, and you can triangulate it or something.
No, yeah, that's excellent. That's very cool.
Community addresses issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a fairly active face group called RTL SDR group that goes into a lot of things people are doing worldwide.
Oh yeah, this is like definitely tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There are people who are doing so much cooler stuff. This is just, to me, and the reason I want to present it here is because it's a really easy one. You have really strong signals. I don't have to have special antennas. The software is free. It's Linux related, and that I'm not going to do it in Linux. But there was a talk that I saw in Berlin where they're doing GSM sniffing, and this is years ago. And at the time, the GSM used a subscription protocol called A/2, which is its own lightweight encryption protocol. But, and the guy on stage was talking about, I was using SDR, well before I was into it. And the guy was like saying, he talked to the people, and he said, well, you will have to break our encryption. He said, well, we've pretty much figured out how to do that. He said, we frequency hop. And he said, well, it doesn't matter. I grabbed it, was my phone. So you can hop wherever you want. Who's going to follow you the whole way? They're talking about how doing that journey is pretty cool.
Can you get HD radio?
What's that?
Can you get HD radio?
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to. It would probably, I don't know enough about HD radio other than it's in my car to know how the protocols work or whatnot. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to.
Yes, I
Probably be fine. If you go to GitHub and you search SDR, there is a stupid amount of projects. So everything from people saying, I wrote this Python routine because I got interested in seeing up my garage door. And so now it's decoded. And people have done like older wireless keyboards, decoding those. Those are pretty cool.
So what is, good.
I was just going to ask if you had a chance to work with I had looked it up, and the LTE frequencies.
Oh, so that's another trunking mode.
Yeah, it's got it. I was looking at it.
I have
1.9 gigahertz, 2.0. It's over
2.4. Well, this SDR goes up to, like 1.8 gigahertz. Yeah, but as I said, I'd have to look more into it. It said new. On trunking systems, you need 2 SDRs.
And that was my question, was what's the range, frequency range?
So this one, so the reason, okay, so as I said, I went through about 5 of them. Would have been that hard, like $1,000. I mean, I like this as a hobby. It's really a lot of fun, but I can't break the bank on it.
Depends on your antenna, what the gain is on your antenna too.
That's true too. And actually, I do have some external antenna. There's not really nice external. There's a group called Seattle Wireless that you can get some really good antenna guides and whatnot. What I was going to say is, what I've been using lately are these. So these guys get a little bit warm as they operate. Oh, sorry. I guess it would help if I actually put it on the screen.
There's lower frequencies than the other frequency.
Oh yeah. These they get warm and they drift a little bit. The cheaper ones, there's companies that actually they're still $20, but they realize you're not going to use them for TV tuners. They still give the remote, but they as you see it says on the side of it.
I just ordered 2 of those same ones on Amazon. $20.99. They come with a remote and antenna.
Yep, that's exactly the one. That's exactly. Have you decoded the remote with the SDR? See what I'm saying? Kind of chicken
Dan's about to buy one now.
No, so that one, it got really good reviews. People were saying for a $20 one that doesn't seem to get warm and start drifting, it's a good buy. So that's the one I've been using lately. It's pretty sensitive. $20.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the fantastic presentation. So I guess if you guys want to do a lunch, we can go to one of the local bars. Do you want to go with?
I got 2 kids.
Fair enough.
I got one of these SDRs.
That is sweet.
Yeah, we're going to go.
Dan.
You ran those data we offer Mac, right? You ran those data we offer Mac?
Yeah.
All this rubbish. So who's heard of the lush?
Where is it?
Yeah, who's heard of it? Anybody not know what a lush is?
I don't know what a lush is. Can you explain it to
My
me?
dad knows what it was.
I don't know. A guy that runs the Facebook page that asked for a look at their video yesterday.
We don't know yet.
Well, you at least said we're not sure yet.
Pay attention.
It's the Linux User Social Hour.
I didn't see that.
And we usually go to a local establishment that sells food and or drinks and just kind of hang out and chit chat about nerdy stuff. So
About wireless antennas.
I think that's going to be the piece du jour because it's a really interesting topic. So we usually go to Gators because we were beside it. We're no longer beside Gators. So
So we're looking for ideas as opposed to where we are.
That's not, maybe not too crowded, we can have a conversation.
I will propose there's a place called Bay Street Bar and Grill. They're like 6 blocks that way. Just outside walking range.
Is that Alba's place? It used to be North Star?
Yeah, I think I do believe it.
I've never been that one. I haven't been there yet, but it's a pretty good place.
Their beer is cheap, they have tasty food, their service is good, and they have lots of space and some SPSs on the projector. That's pretty cool.
So, we're right here. And Bay Street Bar goes right over there. So, any dissent? Anybody have a better idea?
I was actually going to go to my party when you guys were
What's that?
I said I'll put it up as an idea.
There we go.
Alright, what's the name of it?
It's called Bay Street Bar and Grill. Here's the address if anybody wants to like plug that into the program.
It's right next to the Boston building.
It's right next to the, yeah. Right next to that steakhouse that they're building,
Yeah,
like
Chop House.
Yeah, Chop House.
Can we take, whatever the street is right here, south to
Matter.
Is it steakhouse?
No, it's not steakhouse. It's dive bar.
I wish I remembered the name of the bar that's like a speakeasy that's around here. It's like a flap. The waitresses dress up like flappers. But yes, yes. That was cool. It was one.
Yeah, most of it's
It's
usually crowded.
This place was big. I've been there 3 or 4 times. The big benefit is it's very open and not very.
We got to do the Volstead one day. The Volstead. That would be a great. That would be great. You know the Volstead?
Actually, not sure what flex. So now, so I have this thing. It's in my drawer, and I pull it out, I plug it in. So I start going through a list of things. What can I do with this thing? And I have people who are like, "Oh, you can decode NOAA transmissions. That sounds pretty cool. What do I need?" Well, you need a decent antenna in your backyard. That's not going to work. My wife said. Move on to the next one. Air lines. That'd be cool. Pick up that. Again, probably need an antenna for. Basically, I need to get an antenna for say. But the one thing that dawned on me is pagers. They work almost anywhere because that's kind of how they're designed. So no matter if you're in a building like this one or you're in a movie theater, they transmit at a really high power so that that signal can make it to the pager. I should point out as well, and actually my friend Patrick here has one of these, is that group Telefreak that I was telling you about. A bunch of the guys who are in Telefreak are hams, and so every year at DEF CON we set up a transmitter, and we build our own paging network, and then we hand these watches out. And so we put on this party on Sunday night after DEF CON's all over, and the difference between the party that happens at Telefreak and other parties is that we don't have strippers. It's not loud music. It's like the end of the road. It's like you're getting done with the conference. I'd actually like to talk to some people at a party for a little while and not be noise blaring at me, so it's really quiet. But what we did is Jay Jogging sets up a transmitter. We hand these out. I have like a 70-mile range of this thing. I'm only broadcasting, I think, 10 watts. Right? It's not very much. Maybe I have to actually. But the idea is that whenever we don't disclose where the party is going to be, so then at some point in time we can page everybody and tell them where they're at. We can also tell them other events as well. So the idea is, in that case, we're actually building the transmitters, and they are. I haven't built crap. I'm just new. But they're building these transmitters, and these watches essentially work the same as this guy. They just happen to be a watch. And then we broadcast out to DEF CON. As I said, multi-mod is kind of the decoder for all of this type of stuff. So what we do is we want to build it. And this is your typical kind of build. If you go to GitHub and search for multi-mod, you'll find it pretty easy. So what you can do after you build it is, I remember, so I said, multi-mod takes signals and decodes them. RTL FM tunes into the radio, then gets the audio from it, right? So what we can do is tie these things together. And this is like pretty easy. So I have an RTL right here. You'll see this like a little antenna and whatnot. Actually works pretty well for a little project like this. So that was one of the reasons that I said this would be a really easy first project to do. So basically what we're going to use is RTL SDR tools to feed into multi-mod decoding, rather than tuning into like an regular FM radio station. So the way that we end up doing that is we run a RTL FM, we give it a sample rate of 22,050 hertz, and then you'll see right here 929.6625. That is my target pager frequency at this point. The dash at the very end here, right here, tells it we don't want to dump to a file or any sort of thing. We just want to dump the standard out. And then we take that pipe symbol to the multi-mod, tell that we're reading in raw data, and then the dash A shows us what decoders we're in. So that like we got the signal in, now these are the signals that we want to decode. And hopefully, to start it up, it'll look something like this. It looks like a bunch of just gibberish. But this whole part at the very top is just basically multi-mod starting up. So you have the tuner tuned in. Actually, this part's from the tuner right here. But what it is, and these are your decoders, that's all from the start. This bottom part is not. You have your enabled demodulators, so what you're going to be decoding, and then of course like your devices that are bound. And I said I'm running dual. In my case, I'll have one maybe running RTL FM running on one real tech device or SDR, and then the other one in a GUI. So if you're lucky and your frequency is right from what you think, you're 929 megahertz, you should see something like this. This is kind of your pager. This is actually it doing the decoding. What we have, so you'll start seeing this data going back. The big question, actually I remember talking in the office, I was telling a friend of mine, hey, I'm going to do this thing, it's kind of fun, I'm just going to decode pager traffic in this area. Well, nobody uses pagers, so you probably won't really get it very much out of it. And so I said, well, we'll see. So this is the cap code. So technically, pagers, whenever you have them on your person, they receive all the pages. They only display what is in your cap code. So, for instance, so your pager will receive, you've got two guys standing to and they're operating on the same frequency and whatnot. It blasts out all these pages, but your cap code is what tells you this is Bob's pager, this is typical him, and this is Mary. So if you're scanning, and obviously you don't care about the cap code, you're just capturing everything, you get to see everything going. So, again, one of the guys who I was talking with in our office, he said, so what, who uses pagers? And actually, in a way, I kind of had to agree with him. And I had a friend of mine who did a talk at DEFCON on this very subject. His setup was a lot more complicated at the time, but and he found all kinds of cool stuff. But that was like DEFCON 17, like forever ago. So I've been running this for a few months now. So this is the kind of stuff that you'll usually end up getting. This is from a Trump protest, and then paging while keep your channels clear. Of course, you have some shots fired, their pursuit. So that's kind of interesting stuff. I like this one, was one of my favorites. You have, this was from Las Vegas, so it's probably somebody who's subscribing to the service and then they're having it sent to their pager, would be my guess. But airport, we have an F-35 with landing gear issues at runway 21R. And we need probably fire departments to be there. So kind of fun. I was like, wow, this should be pretty cool. So what
you capture this locally?
This is all local,
okay.
Yes. So and you'll see. Well, actually, I'll do that. But in this particular case, this is probably a service that this particular person is subscribing to get those pages over here. I can probably go into that here more. But anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. So going through, and basically what I did is you run it for a while, and you'll notice I've X'd out a lot of the stuff, like I'm trying to be a picture. what you'll find is I would just set up, actually I would set up the rig, both of them, on 2 different separate frequencies, capturing flex and POXAG pages and storing them to a file. Then you just get home and you like grep, and you start going through them. So I grep cuss words and see like people are like, or and then just grepping different types of things. So like shots fired, yeah, look hits. So you kind of just got to go back and data mine. So in this particular case, this person looks like they have their emails being forwarded, probably the subject and headers. Any guess what LANL stands for? LANL.gov, right? So that's Los Alamos National Laboratory. So I mean, what's interesting is people I think have gotten used to. They just think this pages are just like so antiquated, they don't even think about any kind of security mechanisms on top of it because there are none. Technically, there are. You actually can buy encrypted pages, but I'm sure companies like encrypted. Nobody switched this crap anymore. We're all just encrypted. So kind of going to other government stuff. I was seeing like a lot of this. This is another person who's getting their email sent lots and lots of India Gov stuff. Are you guys familiar with them? They're another one whose national security is our business. We apply science to help protect, repel, defeat, and mitigate threats. And then they probably do, I'm sure. If you look at it, you'll see DSNAL, DRD. So then you can start to like poking around. You can say, well, what's DSAS? Probably, I mean, this is off their website. Defense Systems Assessments, and what's LDRD? Laboratory Directed Research. So what I'm saying is, you can actually remember that this number. Anyways, this number right here, the cap code that you're not supposed to see. But anyways, on the cap code, if you see an interesting conversation or something happening, you can actually go back and say, oh, this cap code looks like it might be law enforcement related. Grep his cap code, and you pull all of those pages. So you do that. I mean, you can go through. So access codes are a thing that I always like to look for. So you have people with daily operations call this conference number. Here's the access code. I heard, excuse me, a friend of mine had heard. There's a guy who did the DEF CON talk. He called me one day and he said, "Hey, call this 800 number and enter this code." And I was like, I would do that. Then did that, and it was AT&T, and they were troubleshooting a major outage that they were having in New Jersey. He knew I was the phone guy. Basically, it was like, let's just get on and listen to how they debug this, you know. And I said, how did you get this? He said, how do you think of it? Because they were paging each other. As you can see, Melinda's Citrix password expired. And probably, if you were one of the 2600 crew, probably figure out ways to use Melinda's phone number and the fact that her password is expired to, have her do what you want. And various different phone bridges. There's like a ton of this kind of stuff. People page this type of stuff all the time. So that's like a little bit of just like the mining side of things. Of course, you do see an insane amount of medical data. You wouldn't believe that there are actually things that say do not transmit certain type of information. In the data world, we all know HIPAA and high-tech, right? Well, and the pager network, not so much. These, obviously, I changed the names. I feel bad for John. I mean, you will find things in here, and it's just like mind-blowing. Like what their diagnosis is, who their doctor is, when their institution is, information is. And while it's kind of fun to laugh at, the other side of it, we do a lot of work with a lot of different hospitals. So we actually started going back and saying, who are the hospitals in our area that are doing it? I can confidently say almost all the hospitals that we do work with don't do this shit. But you do see a lot. And keep in mind, so to kind of go back, you'll see local traffic, but you also get things on a state level as well, depending on the type of traffic. A lot of these are actually probably coming in from, as far as I can tell, SeaWorld. So they'll have alarm systems on tanks, and basically pages them whenever they get an alarm that says the water's too low on such and such, or whatnot. Now the question is, well, why the hell am I getting this? Well, it's been a long time, but if I remember correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, It used to be back in the day, whenever you get a pager, that was an option that you could have. If you're going to stay in your city, you could say that I want a local region pager. It might cover several different counties and stuff like that. But you could also sign up for a statewide pager system, so that you could be in Miami well outside of your normal zone and still receive pages. So hence the reason you'll see pages sometimes that are, you're like, wow, this has nothing to do with Jacksonville, but yet I'm still seeing it. As far as I can attribute it to, it's because they're on nationwide pager systems. So, you'll find lots of things like that. I've seen things where I'll say there's one service called Go something. Anyways, they tell you like if you left your doors open. Oh, you left your garage door open. Perfect. I'm just telling everybody. So the big thing that comes up next is how do you find the particular frequencies and things that you want. Now, for our area, and actually this is in general all the United States. I know that the frequencies are typically around, because you can find this on Radio Reference, which is a great guide. If you ever want to find anything radio, find out other people have done Radio Reference. It's a good resource. But you can go there, but you can look up like what are common pager frequencies in this case, because that's my target, right? In this particular case. You look it up, you'll find out it's about 929 megahertz. Now, I'm keeping it all Linux. I know some of the other guys might use like SDR Sharp, or Sharp, yeah. Sharp. Yeah. Sharp SDR? Sharp. SDR Sharp. Yeah, I've never used that one before. I'm sure it's awesome. But I said I'm keeping it Linux, and also I'm running it on the Raspberry Pi. So what it allows you to do is tune in, and it works just the same. You can create what they call waterfalls. This is the waterfall. And then you can see within a range. So if this is my target right here in the middle where the line is, then I can see what's broadcasting around this particular range. So this might be data. So even though I'm tuned in at a particular range, I can kind of see what's around it, so to speak. So, and I should point out too, on their website. So GQRX is open source project in GQ2. It's based off of Genie Radio. But what's great about it, you can go out, download the source code, build it, do all that fun stuff. They also have packages. So really from the Raspberry Pi standpoint, it was really essential to download a package and install it. It comes with Genie Radio. Actually comes with the RTL FM stuff that you already have. And it all comes installed. So basically you load it and you're good to go. So, let's see what we can do. See how much trouble we have. Now, what I'm thinking I should probably do first is plug it in. So, what we're going to do here, we're going to see how well this works. I don't believe in live demos. This is actually the first one.
Your first live demo?
Yeah, I don't do live demos. I'm an idiot. So let's see here. I don't think you won't be able to hear so much. Oh, wait. I don't know. That's a little bit.
So let's bring on number one and see what we get.
So if we do here, yay, okay. So there's our waterfall mark, and this is like looks like some sort of data there. So then you can kind of tune up and tune down. You want to go up a frequency. You'll see it shifts it over. So that was probably up there. That's probably some data. I wish you could hear it, but that's okay. So typically you can click on it. Oh, there it is. Where is this special here? Let's see what we call it. That doesn't. That's all. Anyway.
So there's a local radio station?
Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Just for fun. So let's go like here. Now you gotta change, there's a radio station right here, but you'll see that I'm on a narrowband FM. So that's this
Wideband.
stereo wideband. And you can't. But assure me it is playing. So you can listen, that's kind of the radio. But you saw I had to switch the band because it's frequency modulation. But we get up, what I wanted to do, maybe it's work. What's cool, they also make software too that will turn your SDR to a scanner, to an icon, or the ones that I've seen. Basically, it'll jump through frequencies and then try to determine if it's broadcasting. So I remember like those handheld scanners that I have, you can basically do essentially kind of the same thing. So let's go back to 929. Let me see if we can actually do something. Okay. So what we'll do, look at this. Take it back. That's probably, we'll say 928, 415, right? Everybody remember that, because I will forget. 928, 415. Right? So, 928, 415. See what happens. 928, 415, right? Yes. We'll see. And I'll move this window over here in just a second. Now, it might take a second, and I might be on a crappy place. So we're running
This building is pretty, concrete.
It is, but actually I am, I mean, if you look at the GQRX, the signals weren't weak. Let's do one.
Anyway, that's slow enough frequency that you travel.
Oh. I don't know if this is work.
Not the right. 928?
29662.
Yeah, I went to a different one that I found before, but I found it on the beach, so it might not really be relevant here. But I mean, for the most part, I think you kind of get the idea of what we're doing. Now on my other setup, of course, I have the SDR2 of them. So it kind of makes sense that, oops. Have you guys ever done any of this stuff, SDR? I'd be interested to hear what other cool projects. That looks pretty sweet. Oh, that might be good. 615. No, they might be right. We'll try it. Might be too weak. This is why I was making videos. What she did with, you can find them all over. Anyways, so that's pretty much the rundown. I'll just kind of leave this up. Hopefully, maybe you can pick up something later. Well, I didn't know. I should have guessed what we'd be in a bunker. There it is.
Largo
Medical Center, healthcare.
So call Largo. I'm going to stop it before you start seeing penis injuries.
Surgical trauma, ICU, 5121.
Right, and the thing too is they said doctors still use it, a lot of pagers, like I have a couple of who are, they still use them because they do go places that cell phones won't get signals as well. But you see like room is ready and stuff like that. And there's multiple frequencies, so again, you can set up multiple SDRs to do this. What projects have you guys worked on that you think are really cool that I should probably tackle next?
So there was actually one that was kind of fun with DMR radio. I don't think you play around with it.
Nope, not at all. That's what I'm asking.
So it's for like ham radio people, but they it uses the digital mode. It's digitally modulated. It's actually kind of cool. Really.
Is it FFK kind of like old school packet kind of stuff?
Very similar. It was actually DMR. You can actually find it. It was originally set up by Motorola.
Oh, okay.
You can get a unique code for your device. You program the device code for your device, and then you can now hook onto their digital networks.
Very cool.
And it's very cool because you can actually do things like send text messages back and forth to each other, or do peer-to-peer communication, which they don't really like doing that over computers, but you can. Right. Or you can actually broadcast it. Because it has two different talk frequencies. Talk groups, what they're called. But you got and then there's color codes in those that you can assign to it.
Oh, so it's like a trunking system.
Yeah, so you can actually do it. We actually got a good group of guys in this city that have literally covered the entire city with 3 repeaters.
Oh, very cool.
On top of the stadium.
Yeah, yeah, they're very good repeaters. But yeah, they've got those set up. Now, what's interesting is the TYT is a really cheap little handheld radio that came from China.
Okay.
Travis Goodspeed actually managed to reverse engineer the firmware for it and figured out how the code setting works. And reverse the firmware and release the public.
Very nice.
So we've actually seen some really interesting hacks coming from that, including like you were just mentioning with the pagers, how you have those call IDs. It's kind of the same way with the radio. The radio gets it, and
Right, it's the
not
idea
for you, it drops it.
the trunk route that it's like. Well, I was thinking like how when I have like truck radio systems. Yeah, you have like.
Yeah, so he actually introduced promiscuous sniffing.
Nice. Oh, so you don't care about that.
Yeah, so you can actually have your radio just pick up on everything, including on peer-to-peer communication.
Right. You supposedly can do that. Did it require 2 SDRs? I've read about people who are doing trunk radio interception, like what I do with my handhelds all the time. But they say it requires 2 SDRs.
It's the handheld unit.
Okay.
They're putting the hack straight on the handheld.
Okay. I've also seen one where it was a little toy that came out, and I don't remember. Oh yeah, it had to be modified a little bit.
Oh yeah,
it would take down. Yes, it would take down P25 networks, which are currently used by law
Somebody
enforcement.
also hacked that thing so that way they could open up a garage door. Who was that?
Yeah.
There's Ian Calvin.
There's so many smart people. Anybody else?
It should be.
You get much trouble with spurious?
What's that?
Spurious display as you're showing the spread spectrum, you get signals that are coming from your computer.
Oh, you know what those? Yeah, I end up like sometimes I just all hunt those because you'll have like that line in the side, and you'll go to it, and they'll go blah 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 blah. You're like, what is that? I mean, exactly, some sort of interference. The piece of advice that I've heard people say is that whenever you use SDRs, don't plug them directly into your computer. Like actually use the USB hub that you can move it away, because you want to try to get away from any interference that you can away from your computer. But you still obviously pick up interference. It's fun stuff. And $20.
I got a couple of questions.
Sure.
So could you theoretically hook as many as you wanted to the hub?
Theoretically, until you max out the power in the hub. And yeah, I mean.
And there's also a issue with your
Well, no, that's true too. But usually I'm sampling 22 kilohertz, or 20 kilohertz there now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you should have a pretty good spectrum. You should be able to, I mean, to saturate that hub, even USB 1 would be pretty good. But yeah, you should be able to chain them. I've noticed with the 2 on the Raspberry Pi, obviously, the little Pi starts getting, even with, actually it's more the CPU, because I'm using GQRX and decoding and doing other things. It gets warm. Like you use like a real PC, yeah, you can probably do quite a bit. I mean, your sample rates don't have to be high, especially for this. I don't know about other stuff, if you're doing like satellite stuff.
If you're doing anything with like a really white and
Or really white.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. Oh, yes.
What Raspberry Pi are you using?
What's that?
Or what Raspberry Pi are you using?
Raspberry Pi 3.
Okay.
The latest, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say because NanoPi is really good. They also have the hardware encoded x65.
You know what you could probably.
It's only $20.
You know what you probably do, and that's actually a really cool idea that Kevin just looking me up to. You've seen like the Pi Zeros?
Yeah,
Imagine like $5. Again, like a room full of them. And then see, also the cool thing with RTL.
$25 per radio.
Right. So RTL, exactly. RTL SDR, the software package, comes with a mode that you can make it so that you can tune in on a port, and then it broadcasts over a TCP port. So you can you set your radio like SDR sharp or sharp SDR, and you tell it I want to use a TCP port and connect to your radio. You see what I mean? So yeah, you can use like a bunch of $5 Raspberry Pi Zeros and put like Army. And then just like connect that beside scanning all.
Put Pi Zeros at Starbucks or any open Wi-Fi, and then you triangulate it from you.
No, yeah, that's excellent. That's very cool.
Community addresses issue.
Exactly.
Question?
Yeah.
There's a fairly active Facebook group, RTL SDR group, that goes into a lot of things people are doing worldwide.
Oh yeah, this is like definitely tip of the iceberg. There are people who are doing so much cooler stuff. This is just, to me, and the reason I want to present it here is because it's a really easy one. You have really strong signals. I don't have to have special antennas. The software is free. It's Linux related, and that I'm not going to do it in Linux. But there was a talk that I saw in Berlin where they're doing GSM sniffing, and this is years ago. And they were at the time the GSM used a subscription protocol called A/2, which is its own lightweight encryption protocol. And the guy on stage was talking about, I was using SDR, and this is well before I was into it. And the guy was like saying, he talked to the people, and he said, well, you will have to break our encryption. And he said, well, we've pretty much figured out how to do that. He said, we frequency hop. And he said, well, that doesn't matter. I grabbed it, was like, oh, so you can hop wherever you want. I'm going to be following you the whole way. They were talking about how doing that in Germany. Pretty cool.
Can you get HD radio?
What's that?
Can you get HD radio?
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to. It would probably, I don't know enough about HD radio other than it's in my car to know how the protocols work or whatnot. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to.
Yes,
Probably be fine. If you go to GitHub and you search SDR, there is a stupid amount of projects. So everything from people saying, I wrote this Python routine because I got interested in seeing up my garage door. And so now it's decoded. And people have done like older wireless keyboards, decoding those. Those are pretty cool keyboards.
So what is, good.
I was just going to ask if you had a chance to work with I had looked it up, and the LTE frequencies.
So that's another trunking mode.
Yeah, it's got it. I was looking at it.
I have
1.9 gigahertz, 2.0. It's over 2.4.
Well, this SDR goes up to, like 1.8 gigahertz. Yeah, but as I said, I'd have to look more into it. It said new. On trunking systems, you need 2 SDR.
And that was my question, was what's the range, frequency range?
So this one, so the reason, so as I said, I went through about 5 of them. What I've been, that are like $1,000. I like this as a hobby. It's really a lot of fun, but I can't break the bank on it.
Depends on your antenna, what the gain is on your antenna too.
That's true too. And actually, I do have some external antenna. There's not really nice external. There's a group called Seattle Wireless that you can get some really good antenna guides and whatnot. What I was going to say is, what I've been using lately are these. So these guys get a little bit warm as they operate. Oh, sorry. I guess it would help if I actually put it on the screen.
There's lower frequencies than the other analog frequency.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
They get warm and they drift a little bit. The cheaper ones, there's companies that actually, they're still $20, but they realize we're not going to use them for TV tuners. They still use their remote. But they, as you see, it says on the side of it.
I just ordered 2 of those same ones on Amazon. $20.99. They come with a remote and antenna.
Yep, that's exactly the one. That's exactly. Have you decoded the remote with the SDR? See what I'm saying? I'm going to chicken it in. So
Dan's about to buy one now.
so that one, it got really good reviews. People were saying for a $20 one that doesn't seem to get warm and start drifting. It's a good buy. So that's the one I've been using lately. It's pretty sensitive. $20.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.